mutilation. I am here in Kampala. My name is Tracy and I am at the UNFP offices to find out what's up for this year. This year's theme is partnering with men and boys to transform gender and social norms to end female genital mutilation. I am at the iCafe and I'm joined by a hot team of different technocrats that will be telling us exactly what will be happening this time around. I'm joined by Mariam, Wilberforce, and of course Rachel. Hi Mariam, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Maybe you should introduce yourself for our audience.
Thank you very much. My name is Mariam Enyazu. I'm a child protection specialist and I work for UNICEF. Thank you.
Mariam, nice to have you with us. Wilberforce will be doing the same, and so will Rachel.
Thank you. My name is Wilberforce Mugwanya. I work with UNFPA and I'm program coordinator on programming.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Rachel Gola. I work with UNFPA as a gender and human rights specialist.
Thank you guys for joining me on set. I am excited. Let's just start right there. I'll start with you, Mariam. Uganda implemented the program, the joint program, since 2008. I am going to ask specifically the achievements of phase 3. I am excited because these usher us into phase 4. What are some of those highlights that stood out for you?
Thank you very much, Tracy. We are also very excited. In the implementation of the phase 3 of the UNFPA-UNICEF joint program on the elimination of FGM. Uganda as a country made major milestones in addressing the issues of female genital mutilation. Mind you, phase 3 built on the lessons, the achievements, and the challenges of phase 1 and phase 2, focusing on issues around policy and legislation, access to services, changing social norms, and as well as building the life skill, the livelihood opportunities, and economic empowerment of women and girls. Key achievement for Uganda was the leadership role they played in coordinating the regional response on FGM. Uganda played a very key role in convening cross-border collaboration on FGM that involved 5 countries: Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Tanzania, and one other country, but 5 countries in the East African region came together, developed an action plan that is currently being implemented. And that is a very big milestone that Uganda achieved as a result of the leadership role they played in the regional and country FGM elimination program.
Very commendable highlight right there. Rachel, I'll just jump right to the next one. We've spoken about the highlights of phase 3. I want you to just draw for us the picture and forecast of phase 4 and what that looks like, and making sure we end FGM by 2030.
Yeah, the global program on elimination of FGM is implemented by 17 countries. And Uganda is just one of the 17 countries. And this is a program that has been implemented for decades, over 10 years. So we have a number of lessons that we have learned, strategies on what is working, not only in Uganda, but also globally. So looking forward, we want to accelerate these best practices, these strategies that are working. And, Mariam talked about livelihood, building capacity of communities so then they can be able to, mobilize each other, create awareness on shifting the norms. So we've seen also work with cultural and religious leaders really playing a key role in shifting these norms. And so these are some of the things that we really want to move forward with as we go to, the second phase. Mm-hmm. Another thing that is really important is about data. You realize for the last many years that we've worked, we cannot account for how many of the female genital cases, mutilation cases that have been averted as a result of the interventions. So we really look forward to investing really so much on data, and we do really a number of assessments before we start this program to know where we are, and then we are able to account for where we will be coming forward. And we're also looking forward to mobilize stakeholders, partners, donors to join us, because this thing, it needs really a team. We cannot work around it on UNICEF and UNFPA alone. Yeah, thank you.
Rachel spoke about teams, and it takes me back to this year's theme. And we're saying partnering with men and boys in making sure we transform social and gender norms to end FGM, which brings me to my next question for you, Wilberforce. How do we make sure that we have more men and boys as part of the action force, as part of people that will make sure this transformation happens? What needs to be done, honestly, to have more men and boys as part of this team?
Thank you very much. Men in societies, especially in the African context and in Uganda in particular, are the leaders of the homes, they are heads of the households. They occupy that high space within the cultural environment and also religious environment. So men tend to also define and prescribe, be responsible for a lot of prescriptions within the culture and religious practices. So men have a big role to play in actually ending female genital mutilation and cutting. One is men need to be engaged to support the reporting mechanism, so that they can report FGM cases when they happen, or even activities that can actually leading into FGM, so they can stop the FGM from actually happening. Men also are fathers. These daughters are fathered by men, and they are brothers to these girls who are cut or who suffer female genital mutilation. They are brothers. So men need to come in now and protect and defend these girls and to have safe spaces within the communities where they stay. The men can also engage into now transforming the cultural practices or the cultural environment to take away FGM, which is a human rights violation within the society. So men have that big responsibility and role to also come in and communicate to the rest of the communities where they actually stay, that actually FGM is not a nice thing to do. And also men are the ones who actually marry the girls who suffer from FGM and so on. So, and it's also known that the girls, once they suffer FGM, that leads them into marriage, or it's actually one of the best ways, one of the common ways that they're heading into maturity, into marriage and so on. So the men need to now denounce this and actually stop the perception and appreciation that FGM is one way to get a person married. So men have a big responsibility to play, and we actually need to engage them as heads of the household, as heads of the communities where we stay, so that they can protect these girls, they can report FGM when it happens, they support their sisters and daughters, but also do denouncement or denounce FGM within their communities, and also mobilize other people within the communities to actually stop FGM. So they need to be gatekeepers of the girls, and also to stop the vice. Thank you.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. In case you are joining us online, make sure you follow the conversation. The official hashtag this year is Men and FGM. Continue the conversation in the comment section. For now, I'd love to call another panelist to join us. And of course, right from the government, we have the PRO, Mr. Frank, all the way from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, to help us understand what policies and what the role of government is in making sure we end FGM.
Frank Mugabe is my name, and I'm the head of communications at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development.
There we have it, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And of course, it's very prudent that we understand what the stand of the government is when it comes to FGM, so that we know the context, but also we wanted to find out the role that government is playing in making sure this is achieved by 2030.
That's right. Thank you so much. Government plays a key role, and as a ministry, we are the lead agency on the government side in the joint program to eliminate FGM in Uganda. And we are lucky that we've been working with very good partners like UNICEF here and UNFPA in this programming, and their support has been key. The commitment of the government of Uganda is unreserved in ensuring that we eliminate FGM. We understand fully that FGM is embedded in the cultural practices, social norms in some societies within Uganda. And if you're dealing with such issues, it takes time to have a change, impactful change. But if the government is at the lead, then it adds on value and impetus to the efforts that all partners bring on board. And as such, through the joint program, we ensured that we cleaned first the legal and policy framework. The legal framework provides an avenue through which the perpetrators of FGM can be held accountable for their actions. And therefore, in 2010, we saw a monumental act come into place in Uganda, the Female Genital Mutilation Act of 2010. This criminalized the act of FGM. And that meant that if you are caught in the act of supporting or abetting this vice, you'll have your day in the courts of law. And that is very important, because if that's not available, then you will have people committing a crime with impunity, because they will know that there will be no law to take them on. So the law is a very important one. I recognize, and we recognize as government, that there are some changes that need to be made within the law, and that's what we have learned in phase 3, that in phase 4, we need to strengthen the law to ensure that some of the sections of that law are changed to make it more, more usable. As of now, if you took a survivor to court, some of the evidence deliverance is quite humiliating, I would say, to the survivor, and therefore we need to look at that area and make it more comfortable for survivors to provide evidence on FGM. The other thing is we want to look at the policies at ministry, government level. What can we strengthen? How do we strengthen partnerships? How do we ensure that government is putting more resources into this? Because thus far, we've been doing lots of work with the support of our partners, UNICEF and UNFPA. Now, we've been having engagements with Parliament, the Gender Committee of Parliament. Actually, UNFPA supported us to take them to the ground to have a reality of what FGM is. So we went on a field trip with the MPs on that committee in Moroto, Amdat, and they were able to interact with survivors. Actually, they met even some of the survivors in the rescue centers, and they were able to understand why we should be putting more money into this programming. So it's government's responsibility to ensure that
the government clearly is busy. From what we hear, is that you've put parameters in place and policies in place. Maybe I don't want you to go into the speech for tomorrow. Okay. Let's make sure people follow us across our different social media platforms to get more, but also tomorrow, right? I wanted us to just give them a preamble of what exactly they should expect tomorrow. Maybe Rachel, you want to do the honors, but of course before we do that, I just want one key takeaway message from this year's commemoration. To work with.
Okay, my takeaway message would be, data shows that, FGM can be eliminated if the country was able to reduce the prevalence from 1.4 to 0.3. That means, this harmful practice can be can be eliminated, and it's doable. So let's get into action and do it.
Action. Yeah. Rachel is all about action, and I think that's exactly what we need. People have pledged for sure, but it's time for action. I want to cross over to Mariam. Key takeaway.
Thank you very much. There is enough evidence that men and boys hold the key to eliminating FGM. We invite them to come on board. We invite them to take leadership. We invite them to take action and take the action now to end and eliminate FGM in Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. Definitely, Frank? Yep. Yes?
The figures are daunting, the projections. We are looking at over 42,000 girls who are at risk of being subjected.
Continuing to happen right here as various guests make their way to this particular place. It has been an amazing morning. We had conversation with different stakeholders on what exactly is being done to make sure genital mutilation ends by 2030. The official theme this year is partnering with men and boys, transforming social and gender norms female genital mutilation. If you are following us on social media, that is, of course, MCI Radio, MCI, all social media platforms, and the UNFPA YouTube channel. The official hashtag is Men and FGM. You can join the conversation and the engagement online. Let us know how event is, and of course I'll be reading some of those comments as they continue to happen. Right here I'm joined by guests that have made their way to this great celebration. Hello sir, how are you doing?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm doing great. How do you feel about this so far?
Well, fantastic. This is a great day. We're here to join the government of Uganda and our partners to commemorate this very important day of addressing harmful practices and FGM in our country.
Yes, and of course, Rachel, yesterday we had a great conversation. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm doing good. I'm happy, and I'm happy that, you know, partners have turned in large numbers and ready to really commemorate this day with us. Yes, and we are looking forward to other guests, the ministers, to come so then we can kickstart the event.
Kickstart the event. I love the color on you. You look amazing. And of course, we're joined by another beautiful lady. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. How's the tea break?
The tea break was great. Yes, and we are happy to be here and hear that the gentlemen especially voice out their strength to fight FGM in the country. And for me, I think that is a big step as far as male engagement is concerned. We encourage the men, the grandfathers, the grandmothers, everyone in your different capacities to fight against FGM.
We are super glad to making sure we have men and boys join the fight. Like you heard, the theme is partnering with men and boys in making sure we end female genital mutilation. The official hashtag on our online conversation is Men and FGM. Join the conversation, and I'll be bringing you all the other updates. In a live report like this, I wanted you to take a look at the branding this year. If you look around me, this is amazing. And of course, we have zero tolerance for FGM, an important message, and is a call to action for every stakeholder to making sure this happens. We have no doubt that with concerted and unified action, well-funded action as well, we will make sure that is 2030. Men and FGM is the official hashtag, and please keep the conversation going. We'll be talking a lot of things, and of course, you must know that today Uganda will be launching their 4th phase of this particular program. We have had the first phase, the 2nd, and the 3rd. Awesome milestones have been achieved, and today we launch the phase 4. Yes, phase 4 will be launched today. And of course, different partners have come on board to making sure this happens. We have UNFPA, we have UNICEF, we have Spotlight Initiative, and of course, the Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development. We have amazing, amazing entertainment as well lined up for you. And right now, allow me to welcome the Crane performers. Great performers taking us away right about now. We'll be right back.
Yo
Awesome, awesome performance. A round of applause for Crane performers. They did amazing. I'm telling you, it is just getting started. We join the rest of the world in commemorating and marking the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. I just want to find out from the people that have attended, what did you think of that performance?
The first concluded performance was really wonderful, and I realized that different cultures have their ways of doing things, and they really make us feel good, and they make us probably vibrate as in dancing, though we don't belong to the same, but they have done it good. The dancing, the jumping, the whatever they have put on, it's so marvelous.
We are embracing culture, no doubt, and of course, we are making sure that men and boys join us in transforming social and gender norms in making sure we end female genital mutilation. We had an amazing morning session, and of course, we are transitioning right here at the Kampala Sheraton Hotel. It is happening. Important to note that 45 million people have made the pledge in making sure we end female genital mutilation. Will you join us? We are 45 million now, but we surely could use more. And clearly, the rest of the world in making sure we end female genital mutilation by 2030. I will be crossing to our social media studios and joining the one and only Frank in another discussion, making sure we have this discussion right here, right now. I am just going to ask a gentleman that is here before I go. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I am well.
Well, this year we are making sure that men and boys are part of the campaigns. Are you ready to be part of the campaign?
Every time we talk about a concerted effort, I appreciate the men and boys now joining the women and girls in the fight against this gruesome female genital mutilation that has taken on for ages.
Yes, interesting. We have the men in the building, we have the boys in the building. We definitely could use more. Join me as I go to the social media studio. And what is important to note is that 4.3 million girls will be at the risk of undergoing female genital mutilation if no concerted efforts are done in the year 2023. Now, let's make sure we all join this particular fight in making sure we end female genital mutilation. I am going to the social media studio, but if you are online, join the conversation. The official hashtag is MENandFGM. Tell us.
It's a great day.
Okay.
Great weather out there. And looking around, seeing all our good participants that have turned up, very interesting. We have delegates from Kampala, we have delegates from upcountry, we have delegates from the diplomatic corps, we have delegates from central government, we have the cultural leaders, religious leaders. The children are here. Mm-hmm. Very important.
Very important.
We can't talk about children without their involvement.
Yes.
So it looks to be a very good day for us.
Clearly, we have all the stakeholders in place right here, right now. I wanted to speak about this year's theme. And now you're part of the technical team that put this together. And I wanted to find out why you felt that this year's theme should mainly focus on men and boys as part of the conversation in transforming social and gender norms in making sure we end female genital mutilation. Why that theme?
Yes, men and boys are very, very important in this fight because of the influence that they wield in societies. Our cultural setting is in a way that the men have more influence on what takes place in our societies where we come from. So if you're talking about an embedded, deeply rooted cultural practice, social norm like FGM, then you need to have the team that takes decisions at society level engaged. And that's why we are thinking that engaging the men in this fight is going to be very important. You see, the men are, like my colleagues earlier stated, are fathers. They father these girls. They are brothers to the girls and women. They are husbands to these women. So whatever happens to the demographic of the girls and women affects them directly.
Clearly.
And therefore, it's in their personal interest to ensure that women and girls are protected to achieve their full potential and indeed live life to the fullest.
Awesome. Just making sure that for the people that are just joining us, we've had 3 phases prior to this one that is being launched today. And I wanted you to speak to some of the achievements that, have been in phases, especially the 3rd phase. I'll stick to that because it sort of ushers us into the 4th phase. What are some of the key achievements that, could be spoken about in phase 3 of making sure we end FGM?
Very well. Without preempting any speeches for the day, as you know, we have a long day here, and we're going to have a couple of remarks from different dignitaries without preempting their speeches. Phase 3 has been a monumental phase in the fight against FGM because since 2008, when Uganda joined other 16 countries in the joint program to eliminate FGM, a lot has been achieved. 2 years just after that, we saw the enactment of the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act 2010 in Uganda. Now, that was a great milestone because it created a cornerstone for the legal engagement in terms of fighting the vice. And you see, if you have a legal policy framework that is well thought out, then the other issues become easier to deal with, especially in instances where you have such acts being committed in secrecy and in our society. So it created a very big difference. You'll recall that just at the end of last year, we had a conviction of a woman who was subjecting girls to female genital mutilation in Moroto. And the court in Moroto convicted this lady to 4 years in jail for her role in performing this. So if it wasn't for the legal framework, it would be very difficult. So yes, the legal framework has been very good. The environment government has set to ensure that this thrives has been very, very important to all partners in this fight. But also, most importantly, the community engagements have been strengthened. There have been dialogues, not just on the Ugandan side. You know, the Ugandan issue of FGM has a cross-border aspect to it. We have had dialogues that are cross-border in nature. Colleagues from Kenya have come over to Ugandan side. The Ugandan side have gone the other side. And we combine brains and ensure that we are moving on the same page and same line. So that has been very important in terms of community engagements, but also ensuring that the girls, the women are empowered with this information. Because if they didn't have this information, they would be stuck on where to run to, where to seek guidance. So the information that has been disseminated has been very important in empowering the women and girls and other society members to ensure that the vice is fought. But also the declarations by the community leaders, very important. You know, in the African setting, our cultural leaders are gods of a sort. Yes. What they say, we follow and do. So if they are making declarations against female genital mutilation, then who are we as subjects not to follow what they are saying?
Clearly.
So it's been very important that the cultural leaders, religious leaders are together with us in this, and they have gone public about it. That's very important. Last year, my Honorable Minister of State for Gender and Cultural Affairs, Honorable Mutila, was in Kwen to mark the Sabine Culture Day. Sure. And I was very pleased to hear the area members of parliament saying this is an act we all speak against about. So they are not in for it. Everybody is not in for it. So we should really be on course to end this by 2030 as we envision.
All right. Clearly, you have, everything lined up. I just wanted to find out from you, especially as someone that, brings across different stakeholders. You have the UNFP and the other stakeholders. What for you would you say is the biggest achievement of the partnerships that have happened in steering this agenda forward?
The partnerships are very important. You can't win a war like against FGM if you go it alone. You need everybody to move with you. Right from the international partners to the national partners locally in Uganda and to the grassroots partners, the CBOs, the community leaders, religious leaders, our family heads, the patriarchs, everybody has to be on board. So the partnerships we have created at different levels have supported this cause very much. For example, at national level and international level, we have seen our good partners like UNFPA and UNICEF coming to fund many of the activities under the joint program that is run by the United Nations. And of course, they don't do this alone. They go and pitch the need for funding from various countries that commit their own resources, by the way. Countries like Sweden, the US, countries like Norway, and many others commit part of their own funds to such causes like ending FGM because they understand the magnitude of the effects of FGM, and if it's not fought, there is a problem in terms of development. So the partnerships at that level have been very good. But at the local level, it's been more interesting because you see, there is going to a place and you introduce a topic and nobody is with you, by the way. You could be in a meeting alone talking to yourself. But if you have the local leadership, everybody saying, yes, that is a good message, let's front it. And they take the lead in ensuring that that message is taken to the communities. It feels so good when you're moving together with the local teams and everybody that is affected and has an influence in ending FGM.
Thank you so much, Frank. I need to let Frank go. It's an amazing day. Of course, a lot is lined up. If you are just joining us, we are live on streaming platforms, and that is the UNFPA, the YouTube channel, the MCI radio as well, MCI Twitter page as well as the YouTube. If you are there, please don't forget the hashtag is Men and FGM this year, and the theme is partnering with men and boys in transforming social and gender norms in ending FGM. I'm joined by another special guest, Mr. RDC. I'll let you introduce yourself. How are you doing, first and foremost?
I am okay.
Clearly you're okay. You look okay.
Right.
Yes, kindly introduce yourself.
My name is Chemtai James Small. I am the resident district commissioner for Bukwa district in eastern part of Uganda, Sebei sub-region.
Sebei sub-region. And in your capacity as the RDC of Bukwa district, I wanted to find out, because you speak to, programs, you speak to government's role, and I wanted to find out from your perspective, we have people we call ex-carters. And these are some of the activities that they were doing to have a source of livelihood because they get some money
as people that practice this. I wanted to find out from you, what programs has government put in place to make sure that ex-caters do not regress, do not go back into this act?
I want to thank you very much. And I am not only from Sebei sub-region. I must tell you that I am a son of the soil. And female genital mutilation is one act that has been going on for long. And several people have been grabbed